Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Josh, and today I wanted to come on really quickly to share some rather interesting things I found online while I was helping one of my viewers go through options and find a new truck. So, I've been saying for a while that, there was going to come a point where Toyota's pricing strategy was going to come and bite them in the behind. And, these outrageous prices that they are charging for Tacoma, Land Cruiser, 4Runner, Tundra, and so on were going to get brought back down to earth because the fact of the matter is, as many people as there are out there with money that are willing to pay these outrageous prices for Toyotas, that is not the majority of the market. And there are a lot of people out there who, and a lot of you are here on the channel and have left comments and emailed me, even a lot of Toyota owners, who have the money to pay these prices are just choosing not to. And I had just had this feeling in my head that at a certain point we were going to see some pretty major discounts on their new products, and it looks like we have finally hit that point. And so I grabbed, as I was helping one of my viewers, kind of figure out what they were wanting and figuring out pricing and all that kind of thing, I grabbed some screenshots and I wanted to come on here to share with you what I found. So let's start with the Tundra, because this is actually where this whole thing started. And Tundra by far has the biggest discounts of any truck out there. And this is from my local Toyota dealer here where I live. I've bought vehicles from this dealer in the past, and this is a dealer that historically has rarely ever discounted their cars. Like, I've compared this dealer to Mr. Krabs in the past, running around the Krusty Krab pinching every penny that he can possibly get. That's kind of how this dealer operates. But anyway, let's look at their Tundra selection. So right up front here, we are seeing discounts of about $7,000 all in on some Tundras. And yes, these are the expensive ones, going for like, $70,000 to $80,000. But the thing about this is these discounts ultimately add up to about 10% of the vehicle's MSRP, or TSRP, as Toyota dealers have started to call that. And that's a pretty big deal. Now, here in Texas, there have always been big discounts on trucks. So you go to a Ford dealer, you go to a Chevy dealer, you go to any of the American brands, and you could always find, $10,000 off or 10% off full-size trucks. But not historically with Toyota. Maybe a real small discount or something like that, but people were willing to pay full price for a Tundra. This is ultimately bringing like a $77,000 Tundra down to about $70,000. Is it worth $70,000 even after that discount? I don't think so, because of that engine, but if you like the Tundra and you want to pick one of these up, then you can probably get a pretty good deal out there. Now, let's move on to Tacoma. And one of the interesting things about Tacoma pricing, and specifically with my dealer, and again, I'll put on screen here in just a second what I was seeing there. These vehicles that they've got coming in, these are still in build phase. Okay, so that means that these are either in, Mexico or California or wherever the Tacoma is made. These cars are being built, so they haven't even shipped, they haven't even left the factory, and they're already being discounted. And here's the other thing about this, okay, is this is the advertised discount. So this is what they're willing to put out there to the world that they're willing to offer. If you went into a Toyota dealer and you said, you wanted one of these Tacomas, I would not be surprised if they came back and said, if you were to negotiate, for example, I would not be surprised if they came back and offered you, an even bigger discount just to sell the car. And then before we move off of the Tacoma entirely, the other interesting thing about this is there are discounts on Trailhunter. Okay, I have never seen, and other dealers out there, I've seen discounts on TRD Pro Tacomas. Granted, it's only $500 at this one dealer, but still, we're seeing people, I've seen on the Tacoma forums and on Reddit, people getting TRD Pros, for well under MSRP, sometimes even up to like, $3,000-$4,000. Now, because of how expensive the TRD Pro Tacoma is, and I think it's about $64,000 MSRP or TSRP, even $5,000 off still puts you at $59,000 for a Tacoma. And I don't know. To me, that's still just way too much money to ask for what you're getting. But, I guess if you really like the new Tacoma and you really have to have that TRD Pro badge or the Trail Hunter badge and all that kind of thing, maybe in that case it's worth it for you. And again, what's going to be interesting about the fact that we're seeing this with Tacoma is I really think that in the next year or so, we're going to see the same thing happening to 4Runner TRD Pro that we're seeing happen to Tacoma TRD Pro. I just don't think the average American consumer out there who's walking into a Toyota dealer wanting a 4Runner, wanting a Tacoma, I just don't see people paying these prices. I mean, I'll put on screen again here. There is a 2025 4Runner TRD Sport Premium, okay? That is like, I think, low to mid grade. That's not high up in the range. For $60,000. Like, that is insane for this car. Early adopters, have at it. But the general public, I have a feeling, is going to be, telling the Toyota dealers exactly what they think by not buying these things. On that note, let's move on to Toyota's other mid-size body-on-frame SUV, the Land Cruiser. Now, I have said in many videos in the past that I've done on the Land Cruiser that, in my opinion, the new Land Cruiser 250, which we get here is just the Land Cruiser, and the Lexus GX 550, which is the nicer version of the Land Cruiser 250, I have said that I think these things are about $5,000 to $10,000 more expensive than they really should be for the quality of car that you're getting, for the kind of engines that you're getting, for the kind of cheapy interiors, and cheapy interiors all the way up to, by the way, that GX 550. I just don't feel like they're worth the full retail price. Knock $5,000 to $10,000 off, and now that's a little bit more reasonable. And what do you know? We are seeing discounts on the Land Cruisers. My dealer appears to be knocking about $3,500 off 1958s. And like I said on the Tacoma, I'm sure if you went in there and said add another $1,500 or, take another $1,500 off and we've got a deal, they would probably do it. And again, if they continue to sit, because the American consumer is watching what the hell this current administration is doing with a very critical eye, I would not be surprised if we saw, again, even more drastic discounts. People have stopped spending money because we don't know if money will be around, or any of us will have money. In my industry, I work in tech. None of us know if we're going to have a job tomorrow because layoffs are happening across the board. And that's not just happening in my industry, that's happening in a lot of industries out there. And so people are looking at the state of the world and going, even more so now than about a year or 2 years ago, hell no am I paying, even $57,000 for that base 1958 Land Cruiser with its, full hard plastic interior and janky 4-cylinder engine and just kind of all the things that make that not an attractive vehicle. And what's also interesting is, after I looked at the trucks, then I started looking at other vehicles in the Toyota line. And I'm not talking like Crown and Crown Signia, because those we already knew were getting heavily discounted because, like I've said before, they're kind of weird. People don't really know what they are, and so they're not really buying them. And in order to sell them, dealers have had to discount those by quite a bit for quite a while now. So that's not new news. But when I looked at RAV4 hybrids, okay, and RAV4 hybrid, by the way, probably the number one vehicle, like most in demand. I think it actually outpaced or outsold the F-150 here in the US last year to be the best-selling car. So this is an incredibly popular car, okay, that people want. And yet, when I look at the inventory here at my dealer, we're seeing discounts. These things are getting discounted by about anywhere between like maybe $1,000 to $1,500 off the TSRP. So if you went in, to a Toyota dealer and you said, give me another couple thousand, I would guess that they would do it in order to start moving these cars. And the same thing happens when we look at Prius. If you guys remember when the new Prius came out, I mean, they were marked up by $5,000 to $10,000. They were not to be found anywhere. And I know that they have had a few stop sales, which kind of did hurt overall sales, but still, I mean, we're seeing about $2,000 of dealer adjustments or discounts on Priuses. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. I really feel like all these car makers, they spent, the early 2020s bringing to market these astronomically expensive cars, and now they're some of them, the automakers who kept their pricing strategy reasonable, like Honda, are really probably going to benefit from this. I hear from people all the time. I was looking at a 4Runner, but I'm going to go buy the Passport. One, because it has a better engine, but two, it's as good a car for about, you can get a top trim new Passport for about $10,000 to $15,000 less than a new fully loaded 4Runner. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I'm sure you all will have a ton of opinions. Leave them downstairs in the comments or email me here at the email that you guys see here on screen. I love hearing from you all and talking about all this kind of stuff that we always do here on this channel. I hope you enjoyed this one. And by the way, you guys, I will be back very soon. I actually have I'm going to back to back. I will have 2 cars in for review. They're both American, by the way, and I think that I know some of you will be really interested in them. It's okay if you don't like American cars. You can skip those videos. No hard feelings. I get it. But for those of you who, have been asking me to expand this channel, that's really what I want to do this year. And I'm really excited to get to drive the cars that I will be driving here. And those videos should be coming out in the next month or so. So yeah, stay tuned. I apologize, it's been kind of quiet here on the channel in the last bit, but more to come, more exciting stuff. And then in May, we will go back to Hawaii, pick up the Civic, and at some point between May and June, it will be coming home with us. That, for us, by the way, like that is our, it's paid off. It's a cheap, economical car, cheap to own, cheap to run. And if, worst case scenario, we can also sell it for top dollar because it is such a desirable little car. So like everyone else, we're economizing. So anyway, thank you guys again for watching. I appreciate it. I will see you in the next one. Have a great one, and take care.